Well, those conservative but stylish and opinionated Swiss at On Running have done something different here with the On Cloudstratus 2. It will not remind you of prior On running shoes, despite the appearances. First, they dropped the weight a full ounce to 10.1 ounces, 286 grams. That's a 29-gram reduction. They soften the ride. They make it more energetic. They give it an upper that isn't quite the Swiss bank vault, but holds very well. So let's take a closer look. They'll be $170, I expect, and I'm waiting for the actual release date. On sent us the Cloudstratus at no charge, and the opinions herein are entirely our own. So this card came in my test pair. Here's what On is claiming, that they've doubled up the cushioning by making the Cloud Elements layers. They've completely redesigned the bottom unit and used Helion foam, which they had before. I know it's softer, I can feel that. And they improved the fit. So we're going to take a look now and see how those claims play out on the run. Hello everybody, Sam from Road Trail Run. We're going to take a look at the On Running Cloudstratus 2 today, and we're going to compare it to the version 1, and we'll also talk about the Cloud Swift 2. So I'm going to take them on an A/B run with that older version, but this shoe I think represents a very positive, significant departure for On. On is a Swiss company, and I know, because my wife is Swiss and I lived there for 3 years, that if anything, the Swiss are stubborn. And many On shoes over the years have been kind of characterized by a very firm ride and a very prescriptive ride from the speed board, which is a plastic element that runs pretty much the whole length of the shoe. So On wanted you to run a certain way. Well, the recent shoes, including the Cloud Swift, have had a more pronounced rocker, more flexibility, and lighter weights. And this trend continues here with our Cloudstratus 2, because we lose a very massive 1 ounce or 29 grams compared to the, I would say, overbuilt first version. And we should come in here at a size 9 at 10.1 ounces, 286 grams. So this puts the shoe in the category of your daily training and of pretty much all around use. Whereas I found the Swift also a nice daily trainer, but less cushion, because here our Helion foam, which is in both, is very firm. It worked quite well. In our Cloud Stratus, it was also very firm. Here we get a noticeably but not overly softer flavor, and that translates directly into the ride. We also get changes underfoot with more segmented outsole, midsole. They call the whole new bottom a new bottom unit, and I'm going to show you right now how that looks. We add a few more elements, and they also appear to be a lower profile. I think that was needed to help with the softer foam in terms of the outsole. We now have we eliminate one pad at the midfoot as well as one in the forefoot, and we also get much more decoupling, and that's all felt. And our famous CloudTec Elements now are rearranged, and in fact they call them cloud layers. You won't be able to see, but they actually connect through. All of this, I think, is intended, and what I'm finding, to give you a smoother, softer, more flowing ride, less prescriptive. And after my first run, that's what I felt. I'm going to take them out again today, give you some final conclusions. In terms of the upper, so it's an engineered mesh. You can see, nice and soft, with denser areas of engineered mesh that almost look like overlay. But on the medial side, we retain a panel of denser material, not as dense as version 1's, which had on the lateral and the medial a really stout material, but the hold is excellent. What I'm finding already is that the heel hold is better. We don't quite have the Swiss bank vault type heel counter. We have sort of an external one, reminds a bit of some of the Topos actually, with more overall flexibility, less massive. This thing went forever here. And we also have a different approach to the Achilles collar, not the squared off kind of stylish thing, but a more conventional one, so the hold is really good. I'm also noticing that the integration of the booty tongue is much smoother on the foot. That also probably is contributed by what we have with differences in the upper. In terms of toe box, because folks always want to know about the toe box, our toe box, I think, is probably about the same. They say wider fit, and I would agree with that, though, because you don't have this interface here. You just have a smooth integration between the two with the overlays. I said overlays, but looking more closely, this is just the variability in the mesh and how it's engineered. Very, very cool. It's much more comfortable. Here we had kind of a massive toe bumper. Here things are more minimal. Very good hold. I think it'll accommodate slightly wider fit a bit better. No big changes to the tongue. We do have the A-frame lacing, seems to work well. I find you don't want to pull it too tight though, because it tends to pull up, but works really well. So this is an all-around daily trainer now, because it comes in at a really good weight, you know, of about 10.1 ounces. In terms of the stack height, it isn't huge. I measure 30 full at the heel, so it's 8mm drop, so that's 22. But you won't feel that on the run as being that low because of how the cloud elements, the cloud layers are integrated. Now, so I'm going to take them out for a run, but this is another run. This is a very promising update from On. Puts them really in the running category. We know how beautiful their shoes are. You know, there's no question their uppers and design is you know, just spectacular and has been from day one. The running has suffered a bit, but here with the Cloudstratus, so far I'm finding they're in the run game actually for more runners, which is great. That started with the Cloud Swift, with its more pronounced rocker, a bit firmer ride, kind of an up-tempo flavor. So I'm going to take them out. So the bounce and return here reminds me quite a bit of Flight Foam Blast from Asics, but in a little bit firmer form, a little denser. It's really an excellent ride. Another one, Mizuno Wave Rider 25, has a more aggressive drop with 12mm versus 8 here, and its plate kind of ends towards the front, so more flexible, so kind of a less cushioned forefoot feel. In fact, here, even though there's only about 23mm at the forefoot, because of the way they've arranged the elements and layers plus the plate, it almost feels like a max cushion shoe. A quick word on fit on the run here along the coast. Beautiful day. So I am at true to size, and they are true to size, no question. A relatively broad midfoot, quite wide toe box, a whole bunch of different feet should be accommodated here. My right narrower foot is just about as well held as my left, not always the case. Lacing system is excellent, I've never had to touch it. Heel hold is much improved over version 1. So let's also talk a bit about the ride here. This is a game changer for On, I think, in the sense that this is a softer, more energetic in terms of bounce ride, with our speed board, I think, just perfectly integrated. So you have a 30mm at the heel, so it's a good, soft, stable landing. And then you have a stable midfoot, and then you have a sensation of a roll, a long roll to toe off. The plate is really well integrated. So this is a shoe that I kind of feel in ride sits between the Saucony Endorphin Speed and the Shift. You don't have the speed roll effect here, but you do have a roll forward. You can feel there's a plate, but you don't feel it as anything harsh, so you can really move it along. So it's really a very, very smooth ride, quite different from any on I've ever run in. Yes, we have all of our cloud elements and now cloud layers. I think it's just much better integrated, not as firm, not as stiff, much smoother. So this is a great daily training ride if you want a softer shoe but with some plate energy. It could also be a very good long run shoe if you prefer a somewhat softer shoe. It is more stable than, say, for example, the Invincible Run from Nike, maybe not quite as bouncy exciting. I also thought of Asics and the Glide Ride. The speedboard here is far less prescriptive, kind of a big change because On was very prescriptive and stiff with their speedboards, but the new design of the midsole, the whole bottom unit, makes it a much smoother flow for me. I tend to heel strike at slower paces. So this is really a significant new shoe from On, one of the best, kind of most friendly training rides I've had this year. Okay, done my second run. Some last minute impressions here. First, if you've run an On before, this will be the softest On you've ever experienced. This is a very forgiving ride. If you have not run an On, you'll find this to be a forgiving, friendly ride. The layers of cloud elements and the softer Helion, plus the excellent decoupling, much improved, of the outsole, just give it a very smooth, softer flow. I'll show you how flexible they are after 2 runs. Decently flexible. Remember, you got that speedboard plate in there, and it plays very well with the midsole. Our cloud elements are most noticed in terms of their effect in the front with this about 22 millimeter stack. Very well cushioned. Yes, it doesn't feel like you're completely divorced from the road, but there's very little shock for such a kind of lowish stack, if you will. I would like to see maybe a touch more rubber or thickness, something to give it a touch more snap off the front for faster paced running. But when you think that the heel is so forgiving and has a nice rebound, it's really a very nice kind of all-around daily training ride of the softer variety, the kind of bouncier variety, actually. Another one I'm thinking of here is the Fresh Foam More from New Balance. That one is softer yet, and it doesn't have a speedboard, so what you really have to kind of push the pace a bit to get off the heel and kind of activate the bounce. Here it plays along well because the softness is tempered by the well integrated speedboard. Just a last thought about the upper. Everything held beautifully. I did have to retighten my narrower foot once, but that's kind of normal. It was humid today, relatively humid, relatively warm. Feet stayed comfortable. This is a nicely breathable upper. So if you've run On before, you will be surprised if you thought they were too firm, kind of too prescriptive. This is a much friendlier ride, and really one of the finest kind of all-around more cushion rides in terms of fun, fit, and kind of action that I've run this year. It's not, I would say, a super fast feeling ride because of that forefoot, but it's certainly a pleasant one, and it really puts On, which has made such strides really in overall and so popular kind of in the lifestyle world, it puts them squarely in the running world for more of us, I think. And for you fans of On who kind of like that firmer, kind of snappier ride of the traditional On, you might think of this as your recovery shoe. Maybe On intended it that way. So now I'm going to compare it to the version 1 in some details. If you're interested in that, the Cloudstratus version 1. stay tuned right after right now. And if you want to tune out, please consider subscribing to roadtrailrun.com. Right here on our channel, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and at our website, roadtrailrun.com. Be much appreciated. Thank you very much. I took a short A/B run with the Cloudstratus 1, the orange, versus the 2. And On tells us that they have a wider fitting front of the shoe, and they worked on better heel hold. And both of these things are absolutely correct. The heel hold is better, kind of a slimmer, more foot-conforming heel counter versus this massive Swiss bank vault over here. In terms of the width is more comfortable, I'd say. The panels here, which were kind of a dense mesh, are now replaced with kind of all the same, with overlays or underlays. I noticed in particular at midfoot there was some pressure here, nothing unusual, but again, big panels of very firm stuff. Over here we do have one on the medial side, about the same, but on the lateral side they went with regular mesh. So that all translates in our new version to a much more comfortable fit. Nothing wrong with this one, but it reminded me more of a Swiss bank vault than a running shoe, overdone, whereas here it's correct. In terms of the ride, depressing, as I said, the Helion in the version 1 is considerably firmer than version 2, and we have the rearrangement of our elements, our cloud elements, which makes the number 2 considerably kind of softer feeling, even though I think the stack is the same, and more flexible. Just flows along really well. A touch less kind of resounding pop, but much more friendly kind of ride compared to the version 1. Wasn't bad. It had some serious kind of firmer pop, but here with a softer foam and the rearrangement of the cloud elements that now also connect, and I showed you that, we have a much more, I would say, friendly and conventional ride.